Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
It's our TOEIC unit for the month of September. We're coming to the end of September here, and it's all about an installation artist in today's program. We've got a kind of radio interview going on with an artist by the name of Andy Rosen. I believe there actually is an artist called Andy Rosen, and I don't know if this conversation actually took place, but, it's for the purpose of learning about these things for our TOEIC unit.
Yeah, I checked him out online a couple of days ago, and he's got some interesting stuff. But installation art is kind of a cool thing. It's 3D, it's three-dimensional. And it's usually art that's created or constructed or even placed in a particular area. And the place where it can be seen is part of the art. You just wouldn't place it anywhere. And the artist has, his own reasoning behind it. So we're going to talk about this micropolitan installation art. This doesn't exist. We made this up. But Andy Rosen, if you look him up online and look up installation art, you'll see some of the things he's done. This is a pretend interview. I'm going to be the interviewer, and then Tom will be Andy. So let's get started, guys. We've got a conversation we're going to read through first, and then we'll talk about what some of these phrases mean. Welcome back to Art in the World. With me in the studio is one of my favorite up-and-coming artists, Andy Rosen.
Thanks for inviting me.
Now, Andy, your art installations have been featured all over the world. Your newest project is a local one, though. Can you tell us what it's about?
It's a gigantic installation called Micropolitan that covers an entire city park. It's kind of a scaled-down urban area inside a natural world, but it's not just models. Every part of the installation invites interaction.
That sounds fantastic to stroll around in. Can you tell us about the highlights of Micropolitan?
One of my favorite parts is the street map. It's an arrangement of city streets painted in forced perspective. You can only see it properly from one angle. If a person stands in certain places on the map, they activate a lighting system. This makes it appear as though cars are moving on the streets.
It truly seems like a community experience rather than just something you view passively. What other interactive elements can we expect?
There are some that involve audio and others that ask viewers to add objects onto a growing assembly of items. I wanted to let viewers participate in the art-making process. I think it makes the installation more memorable.
I'm eager to visit it myself. Andy Rosen's Micropolitan installation will be open at Brady Park from tomorrow until November 30th. So don't miss it.
Okay, let's get to it. Let's discuss the contents of today's lesson. Again, it's an interview on the radio, I believe. Yes, it's a radio interview with an artist, not just an artist, but an installation artist. Of course, as you know, there are different kinds of artists. Usually artists are considered painters, but I guess they could also be sculptors.
Oh, sure.
Or even musicians, for that matter.
Totally.
But in this particular case, though, it's an artist that does installation art. And installation here just talks about art that's set up in a certain place, usually in public. It could be inside the museum or something. But it's kind of a large work of art that covers a certain area. And yes, most of the time, it's actually in public, like in a park or on a city street.
Right. I've seen some installation art here in Taiwan in a couple of the subway stations, which is kind of fun. I love art. But Tom's right. When you talk about an artist, The first thing that comes to most people's minds, I should say, is a visual artist, a visual arts artist, and not just, someone who performs like a dancer is an artist, a singer is an artist. But here we're talking about someone who is definitely a visual artist who produces this installation art. The name of the show is Art and the World, and the host is Kara, and she's in the studio. This is often the phrase you hear, with me in the studio, is one of my favorite up-and-coming artists. And of course, it's Andy Rosen, who is a real guy. And he does produce installation art, but we're making up this conversation. Now, if you're up-and-coming, or if someone describes you as up-and-coming, wow, you should feel good. That means they see a lot of potential in you and you're already getting a lot of interest from the media and have fans that follow you. You're an up-and-coming artist or you're an up-and-coming actor, singer, a dancer, whatever it is. You're up-and-coming. So they've got Andy Rosen right there in the studio where she'll be interviewing him.
Indeed, and of course you may be an artist, and of course maybe you've had some of your artwork on display in restaurants and places like that, but I wouldn't say you're an up-and-coming artist because you haven't really been discovered by anybody yet. But if somebody has discovered you and you've had some exhibitions at some major museums and things like that, and you're getting more and more popular, then yes, you are up-and-coming. And Andy is grateful. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for having me in the studio today. And Kara here says, now, Andy, your art installations have been featured all over the world. So yes, you're not just a little popular local artist, you're now popular nationally and you're popular internationally. So yes, your art installations have been featured all over the world. And your newest project is a local one, though. So yes, you've had your work displayed in other parts of the world, but your recent project is just here locally, in this town here where this interview is taking place. It's a local art installation, and Kara says, can you tell us what it's about? What is your latest art project about?
Before I forget, I was thinking about this while you're talking, Tom. This name, this female name, Kara, that we pronounce Kara, it could also be pronounced Kara. The tricky thing about names, especially in the U.S., is that there are multiple pronunciations that are acceptable. The best thing for you to do is to ask the person how they want their name pronounced. That's the best thing to do. Every new school year, we would hear our teacher go, how do you pronounce your name? Yeah, thanks. Because people have different pronunciations. So moving on here, he's talking about his installation art. He calls it a gigantic installation. And it's entitled, that's why it's in italicized print there, Micropolitan. He says it's gigantic. Anything that's gigantic is giant. That's where that word comes from. It's gigantic, just really, really big, huge, enormous. I could say that King Kong is gigantic. So it's a gigantic piece of art, and he says it covers an entire city park. Sometimes city parks can be over an acre big. I guess we call it hectares here, but yeah, it can be quite big. So he says it covers the entire city park. He says it's kind of a scaled down urban area inside a natural world. That natural world he's referring to is the park, with the trees and the flowers and the bushes. But if you're talking about an urban area, it's an inner city area. And if something's scaled down, it's a smaller size than what it actually should be in real life. A lot of times, little girls will want a dollhouse. Well, that dollhouse is a scaled-down version of a real house people live in, and it's just about the right size for their Barbie dolls and, things they play with.
Yeah, in this sense, a scale oftentimes just refers to a ratio. So I don't know if any of you have ever bought models before, but oftentimes when you buy a model, it will say what the scale is. Okay, like this is 1/20th scale. In other words, this model is going to be 1/20th the size of the real thing. So that's the scale there, just the ratio of how small it is. So in this particular case, it's a scaled down urban area. So they basically shrunk everything down in a city so that it can fit inside a park. Like all the tall buildings are smaller. The ratios are all correct, but it's still smaller so they can fit inside this park here. And it's not just the models, though, not just the models of the buildings or the cars or the buses and stuff like that. Every part of the installation invites interaction. And interaction means, well, you say something and I hear you and then I respond and we go back and forth like that. Most art does not invite interaction. You just see the painting on the wall and you look at it and maybe you write about it in your diary or something like that or talk about it with your friends. But there's no real interaction going on there. But some artworks do invite interaction. You know, you do something, maybe you can hold that piece of art and you can move it in a particular way. Yeah, you go back and forth. It's like communication.
Well, Kara says that sounds fantastic to stroll around in. If you stroll around somewhere, it could be anywhere, guys, just means you're taking your time as you walk around and view things. Maybe you're a tourist and you want to take a stroll. Or sometimes after dinner, I'll go take a stroll just to get outside and, get a little bit more walking in for the day. So to stroll just means to walk in a very leisurely way. You don't have an appointment or a meeting to get to. You have more time so you can enjoy yourself. So this sounds fantastic to her. She says, can you tell us about the highlights of Micropolitan? The highlights of anything are the best parts. When you study for a particular class, you might want to highlight things that you think will be on the test. And a lot of people will use those highlighter pens. I used to use yellow a lot, sometimes green and sometimes pink. So there are different ways to highlight passages so they'll stick out when you're trying to study for the test. Here, she's asking him to describe some of the best parts, probably so her listeners can get excited about going and actually seeing this installation art in the park.
Yeah, it's a big installation in a park, so maybe you can't look at everything. So yeah, tell us about some of the features or the highlights of this work of art called Micropolitan. Well, Andy here says, one of my favorite parts is the street map. Okay, that's just a simple set of directions on a flat piece of paper that tell us where the streets are and how to get around a city or a country or whatever. But this is a part of the installation called Street Map. What is that? Well, it's an arrangement of city streets painted in forced perspective. Okay, forced perspective, and his definition is you can only see it properly from one angle. Okay, we've probably seen these before in museums. You need to look at this work of art by standing in a certain location. If you stand someplace else, it looks weird, it looks distorted, it just doesn't work. So you need to stand in a specific location in order to understand what it looks like.
Another example of forced perspective art are those drawings in chalk on sidewalks. You know, they look flat, but if you stand and look at these drawings in a certain position at an angle, they actually look 3D. It's kind of cool. So I wanted to mention too, Micropolitan is the definition of a city that's 10,000 to 50,000 people big. So it's not a metropolitan area, which is much larger. It's a micropolitan. So it's kind of a small city that they've shrunk and put inside this park. So yeah, you have to look at these streets from the perspective where you can see it. And it'll actually activate as you look at it from a particular angle. Activate just means turn on, to get something moving or set something in motion. and they're activating a lighting system. And he says this makes it appear as though cars are moving on the streets. Streets are in quotation marks because they aren't real streets, but they look like streets, you know, how he's put them together. This sounds cool.
Yeah, there would be probably projections of cars moving along the streets there, so you know it's not real, but it would still look pretty cool. Now, here's Kara's next question. It truly seems like a community experience rather than just something you view passively. What other interactive elements can we expect? So yeah, it's an interactive work of art here. It's a community experience. People who go to the park can enjoy this art installation, and it's not just something that you actually just look at. You can actually participate in this work of art and feel that you are the artist as well. So yeah, what other elements of interaction can we expect besides this street map? What are some other things that we can do with this work of art?
He says there are some that involve audio, things you would hear, others that ask viewers to add objects onto a growing assembly of items. Assembly here is one of our vocab words. It means a group of something. So a group of items, you would actually take something and add to this pile of items or assembly of items. We used to have assemblies in junior high and high school when I was growing up, and it meant all of the kids in that school would go into the gym and there would be some special presentation, or maybe it was right before the football game and it was a pep rally, which just means the cheerleaders and the football players would come and people would get excited. That would be an assembly. So an assembly is when lots of things come together. It could be people, but here it's an assembly or a coming together of items. And he says, I wanted to let viewers participate in the art-making process. It's almost like you're helping to create or contribute to his piece of art here. He says, I think it makes the installation more memorable. If something's memorable, it's something you'll remember forever. One of my most memorable vacations with my family was going to Tijuana, Mexico.
Wow.
When I was in college. We had the best time. And I still remember it to this day, so it was very memorable.
Tijuana. Wow, that's a border town. Lots of people have bad impressions of border towns, but that's another subject. And here, Kara has something else to say. She says, well, I'm eager to visit it myself. I'm excited. I look forward to it. Andy Rosen's Micropolitan installation will be open at Brady Park from tomorrow until November 30th, so don't miss it. So it'll be there for a couple of months. Check it out if you're interested, and you're sure going to have a lot of fun with it. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. But before we go on to talk about some useful expressions and to have a discussion question, we're going to hear from our Chinese teacher.
谢谢美语老师。Hello, my name is Shelby. 今天多益单元在录音室中访问装置艺术家。主持人 Kara 欢迎艺术家 Andy， 在开场白中说：“欢迎回来，艺术与世界。和我在一起的是前途无量的艺术家 Andy Rosen。”形容词 up and coming 有前途的修饰名词，例如 up and coming actress 前程似锦的女演员。Kara 继续 Andy， 你的艺术已在世界各地展出，最新作品就在本地，能告诉我们吗？动词 feature 以点点点为号召，例如 The movie features my favorite actor， 这部电影由我喜爱的演员主演。而这句写成 have been featured， 完成被动。装置艺术曾是各地区的号召，表示在各地演出过。Andy 解释，这是一个名为微型都市的巨型装置，形容词巨大的 giant 巨人的形容词，巨型装置后面用 code 的 pp 来后位修饰，表示被命名。同义改述 code 可用 named 或者 in the name of 点点点，或者 labeled labeled 这些来表示。Micropolitan 是结合 micro 微小的与 metropolitan 大型都市，翻译成微型都市。东京、纽约人口甚多的城市都是 metropolitan， 它是等比例缩小的市区。A scaled down urban area scale 刻度 scaled down 当形容词等比例缩小，而它还会 invite interactions invite 当邀请或者吸引 invite interactions 引发互动。 Kara 回应说，听起来在这里散步会很棒，表达走路的时候有几个动词，这里的 stroll 是指悠闲的走着，加 around 指到处悠闲走着，其他漫步 ramble R-A-M-B-L-E 在乡间漫步 to ramble around in the country， 沉重的走着 plod P-L-O-D 拖着沉重步伐上升，就是 to plod to the top of the hill。 紧张的踱步 pace P-A-C-E 大步走 stride S-T-R-I-D-E。 那你能告诉我们最有趣的部分在哪吗？ Andy 回答 street map 街道地图。第二句，它是一个街道布置，以强迫透视法绘制。 perspective 透视图法 in 表用什么方式， perspective 也可以当作洞察力，你的看法不正确， You have the wrong perspective。 如果有人站在某些位置，他们会触动照明系统。动词 activate 使活化 A activate B A 活化 B， 后面的 a lighting system 照明系统。又例如 cooking fumes activate the alarm 煮菜的烟启动了警铃。下一句，这使汽车仿佛在街道上行驶一样。 make 是使役动词加 it 再加 appear 似乎， as though 相当于 as if 仿佛。 Kara 继续说，这似乎像是社区体验。 seem 似乎可以用 it seems like something 或者 it seems 加 that 子句，又或者将 that 子句中的主词提到前面，用 somebody seem 加 to be。 若时间有先后之分， to 后面的动词写成完成式。例如，他似乎是个好人， It seems that he's a kind person， 或者 He seems to be a kind person。 若他以前似乎是个好人， He seems to have been a kind person。 还有哪些互动元素呢？ Andy 说，有些包含声音，有些会邀请观众将物体不断加上去。动词 add 增加 add A to B， 或者是 add A onto B。 这句中的 B a growing assembly of items， 用 growing 不断增加的来修饰 assembly 聚集。我想让观众参与创作艺术，使艺术装置更难忘。最后 Kara 做结论， I'm eager to visit it myself。 eager 渴望的， be eager to do something 或者 be eager for something。 例如 She is eager for success， 她渴望成功。微型都市将在 Brady Park 开幕，所以请别错过。以上是今天的讲解，谢谢收听。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. Thank you very much for that incisive explanation there. And now we've got some useful expressions here. Remember, we were talking about someone showing anticipation to see this work of art here. At least she said she's eager to visit the art installation in Brady Park. So yes, if you're eager to do something, you are showing anticipation. You're looking forward to seeing something that's going to happen in the future. You're looking forward to a vacation or whatever. So let's see what some of these expressions are, Stephanie.
Yeah, I can't wait. This actually reminds me of kids too, you know. Chinese New Year is very exciting here for the kids. I can't wait for Chinese New Year. I can't wait for the weekend. I can't wait for Christmas. I can't wait. It doesn't have to be a holiday. It could be that maybe you're throwing a party for a friend. I can't wait to see my friend's face when she discovers we have this surprise party waiting for her. The next one is we're all looking forward to meeting the company president tomorrow. If you're looking forward to something, again, you're anticipating it. You think it's going to be fun. Don't use these phrases to talk about something that is kind of, scary or something you like to avoid, like the dentist. I'm not looking forward to seeing the dentist today. Or, yeah, I can wait, a long time before I get excited about seeing a doctor. So, yeah, use these for things that are positive.
Yeah, I can't ever imagine a situation where you would actually look forward to seeing the dentist. I look forward to getting it over with.
Yeah, no kidding.
You have to do it. You've got a toothache, and
Yeah.
you need to go see the dentist, and you need to get it over with. And then, once it's done, once the treatment is done and the pain is stopped, then everything's okay. So you could look forward to that, but not the actual dentist appointment itself. So we're looking forward to. I can't wait to see what people think of our new magazine. And here, the third one is, I'm itching to finish work today. I'm dying to finish work today so I can go on vacation. So I'm dying to here doesn't mean you're actually wanting to die. It just means because you can't go on vacation yet, it feels like you're dying. So, I'm dying to finish work today. I really want to finish work today because I'm going to go on vacation once work is done.
Yeah, if you're itching to do something, it's like you can't hold still. Have you ever seen kids who are, just jumping around? You couldn't get them to hold still because they're excited about something. Yeah, I'm itching to do something. It's not, literal. It's not like a mosquito bit you and you have to scratch your arm or something. No, I'm itching to do something. You're excited. You're looking forward to something. Yeah, I'm itching to finish work today so I can go on vacation. I understand that feeling. Now, the discussion question, Tom, I'm going to let you take this because you definitely love installation art. So, have you ever visited an art installation that you could interact with? Describe it.
Well, I can't really think of one specifically, but I know that MoCA, the Museum of Contemporary Art here in Taipei, often has interactive installation art. You can go there and be a part of the work of art. It can project your silhouette on the wall or something
cool.
like that, and you can make your own designs and patterns and stuff. I do remember one in which they had a box full of different noise makers, and you could grab them and play with them and see what kinds of sounds you could create. That was kind of an interactive installation art, and that was kind of fun. So yes, that's a good place to go for that, especially those modern art museums. They try to let people interact with the art as much as they can. And who knows, maybe you've been to a place like that yourself. Discuss that with your classmates. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. It's time now to say goodbye, so thanks for joining us, and please join us again next time. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.